is our able WFSF board member, Alethia Montero Baina. Am I pronouncing your last name correct? Spoiler alert, humanization in extinction. That's a very interesting teaser. I can't wait to see if we're going to go the ways of a dinosaur, or what exactly do you mean by that topic? So the floor is yours.
Thanks, Claire, and everybody. So yeah, now it's my turn to share my thoughts. This is mainly an essay out loud, so this is not for debate. This is just like for reflecting, for sharing my ideas, and that's it. Okay. So well, spoiler alert: humanization in extinction. Thank you to the WFSF 25th Gold Conference to host this online program. Okay. Well, first, inspiring matrix, and also in the book Life 3.0, we have these pills. So, do you think we are going through a global dehumanization? Which pill will you choose? No? Skip to the next lecture? Just kidding. Remain here, please. Yes, remain into this room. But just to know, please write into the chat which pill will you choose in this case, okay? Then, we are going to have some context. For sure, many of you have heard about bunny world. So we are going just to review that concept in order to give some context for this essay. Okay? Let's see.
Today, we are living in a world with distinct changes, where the acceleration of technological transformations, globalization, thousands of social movements, among many other issues, are a cause of agitation in the human being. And what can we say about the current situation we are going through? Several authors used to say that we are living in a VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Zygmunt Bauman, since 2009, mentioned being in an era of uncertainty, where there is a lack of solidity, security, long-term planning, and more. That is, liquid times. He mentions that even love is liquid. In Ziauddin Sardar's words, these are post-normal times, where chaos, complexity, and contradictions stand out and under this environment. A great amount of ignorance and uncertainty is generated. He also mentions that in most of what we can possibly conceive as the new normal is over and beyond capitalism and neoliberalism, modernity and postmodernism. Mrs. Uncertainty, as I call her, acts as if she wanted to rule every corner of the world, even the most remote one, and make us believe that every individual is under her reign. And she has succeeded indeed. In this world of sudden changes, Mrs. Uncertainty, which happens when we are not certain about what is coming, has arrived like a colossal tsunami to envelop us with its mantle. We eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner with her. Now, there are those who speak of a bunny world, B-A-N-I, brittle, anxious, non-linear, and incomprehensible, where the main forces that has driven this are politics, global warming, and, of course, the pandemics, or rather, the COVID-19 syndemic. Against this backdrop, the need to look more empathically to the future is prevailing. More and more people, more and more organizations are requiring to study, explore the future, and better shape it in the times to come. Applying this in our personal lives to the world we are living in is an added value that will better prepare us to face.
Okay, so this is a very short introduction to our context. Of course, there are more details about this, but I just want to catch these main ideas. There are some skills to face a funny world, yeah, or a bunny world. Uh, this is because in Spanish it's like funny, so fragile. We need for that resiliency and looseness. Anxious, we need empathy and awareness. Non-linear, contextualization and flexibility. And for the incomprehensible, transparency and intuition. So these are important skills for us to develop. We'll see why. Besides the bunny world, we are also in Novacene. For example, James Lovelock talks about this, that this is the end of the Anthropocene. We are in the Novacene now. There are also several authors that talk about the information age or the digital age or digital revolution. And for example, Klaus Schwab talks about the fourth industrial revolution. But at least we have one word. First, it began to be humanocentric. Then it began to be money-centric or market-centric. And then data-centric. So nowadays, the data is more valuable than the other two. Well, so to talk about humanization, we need to ask this question: what is a human being? These definitions that I have are purely like technical, but I want you to please write into the chat for you what is a human being from your own words, please. So participate in this. I want to know what's your definition of human being. And in the meantime, I'm going to share these definitions that I found. First, we belong to the species of Homo sapiens, which are called wise man. So from there, we can see that we are to focus on the intelligence and the mental stuff. Then it articulates language with capacities of symbolic abstraction and meaning. That's a big difference from the animals, for example. We are conscious, intentional, and constantly developing individual, a totality and possesses a structured central core, which is I or self, which is the genesis and structure of all its psychological processes. So keep an eye on this because this is important for the whole essay, okay? So for example, Gis says, a species that talk, share stories, create structures, and connect over long distances. Okay, so that's a different way to see for a different perspective of what a human being is. Thank you, Gis, for participating. So what does humanization is, right? So this is the action and effect of humanizing. Symbolically, the word human represents the conscious and deliberate quality that people have of being empathetic, caring, affectionate, communicative, loving, social, rational, and relational. So it has some things that are the same than the definition before. So in contrast, deliberately acting contrary to empathy, solidarity, affection, communication, love, society, reason, and relationship is considered inhuman. So please begin to reflect on this, okay? So therefore, dehumanization refers to a process that deprives a human being of his or her characteristics and rights that identify the species, okay? It is a concept that is used to explain human evil and that distances the being from its most natural essence. This is a very important definition because I want you to reflect on that, and my essay aloud is about this, okay? So we are being witnesses of things that refer to the previous definition. I'm not going to talk about anything in a specific, but for sure you know what these images are about, okay? So nowadays, we are getting more and more worried about machines replacing humans. I'm talking about this because, of course, artificial intelligence and some other branches of technology are being the trending topics, not just of this conference or in general, but all over the world. So I want you to keep an eye on this. We are getting more and more worried about machines replacing humans, but we haven't taken over and managed how we have hurt other humans and other species, consciously or unconsciously. And that, Rose, is far more dangerous. Okay, so watch out with this. For example, talking about artificial intelligence, for me, the shadows of artificial intelligence may not be of concern for our era, but rather the artificiality of human intelligence in the shadowy application of such technology. So this introduces to my main topic about humanization in extinction, which is a proposal to embrace our human shadows. Carl Jung was the one that talked about the human shadows a lot. He's not the only one, but it's like my main reference for this. So it is told that we as humans have two sides, no? Like the bright side and the dark side, just as Darth Vader, right? So we have a light, we have a shadow, okay? So what's the shadow in these terms? Well, the human shadow refers to those things that we don't accept easily, to those emotions that we consider as negative emotions, to personality features that we don't like or that we consider not to be acceptable. So one more time, please make a personal reflection. And if you are brave enough, please share in the chat. Reflect on this. Which has been the moment in which you have felt like the worst person ever? Okay? Identify that moment, the moment in which you felt like the worst person ever in the world. What emotions, what actions did you have that make you feel like that? Okay? So I insist, if you are brave enough, please share on the chat. If not, just reflect personally on this. So when we identify this shadow thing, which is sometimes not as easy as saying it, we need to think about the plausible risks of embracing our human shadows. Because yes, I'm proposing that, but I know it's not that plausible enough for just doing it. We need to think about the risks. Well, first of all, our psyche, which is referred to our inner us, to our soul, to what we have really, really deeply inside, it's chaotic and fragmented, filled with many splits like a box of puzzle pieces waiting to be back together. Okay? So yeah, we have like all what have happened to us, dispersed, fragmented, yeah? So one feature of that is the shadow. So how can we integrate this shadow rather than just looking at it as something bad, for example? Well, then, when you first set out to integrate your shadow, it can seem like things are getting worse. Of course, we can feel uncomfortable. We are looking at something that we don't want to see. It can feel like an endless labyrinth, right? Because you are trying, for example, to get out from a hole, but maybe you identify that you get to another hole and to another and to another. Then it's not because things are getting worse, but that you are becoming more conscious of what's actually going on inside. So remember the definition of a human being that talks about consciousness, but we are not aware or not aware enough about this. A shadow integration can lead to get to know and take responsibility for your thoughts, attitude, feeling, impulses, actions, and behavior. If we think about these two examples, the board that I showed to you with images and also the personal reflection, sometimes we are not taking responsibility, but we are giving the responsibility to others, or in name of, for example, a better country, a better region, in the name of politics, in the name of love, in the name of whatever else, we give that responsibility other than to us. Okay. So we have not assumed also that we are all a house with 4 rooms, one physical, mental, one emotional, and one spiritual. Most of us, we tend to live in one room most of the time, mainly the intellectual room. But until we enter each of these 4 rooms every day, at least to air it out, we are not whole people. So that's a Sophie proverb. And this is important because we are not conscious also about these 4 dimensions. We can have more, but sometimes we are not integrating like the emotional part, the spiritual, the mental, the physical. In this Western side, the spiritual dimension is super low by taking into account. So this is the basis of why I talk about humanization on the verge of extinction, okay? So in this sense, for me, humanization of human beings is being diluted. I'm not talking about humanity as a species, but about humanization. Please make an emphasis on that. Its extinction is more likely in humanity itself than in technology itself. We are already in a call for action for contingency plan. We just need to look around and we have whatever topic, climate, wars, and politics, social movements, and whatever. And not talking so far beyond, we have issues with ourselves, with our families, with our couple, and whatever. So this is like a call for action to have a contingency plan before humanization becomes extinct. As our dear Eleonora Barbieri Massini, QEPD, said, cultures and their future, more than technological and economical developments, are at the heart of humanity's uncertain future. So which is the proposal? Well, developing our individual and collective anticipatory consciousness, not just consciousness, but anticipatory consciousness. Interplanetary responsibility, ethical futures which are equal to wise futures. So ethics as the backbone of the immune system of ethics preserves and enhances the still properly human qualities of empathy, creativity, subjectivism, meaning making, and some more. I want you to leave with these 3 questions, but not to answer them just mentally. I want you to ask yourself these questions and to feel like the energy of these questions. So, who are we? We humans, who are we? Who will we? Who will we be? And who do we want to be? These are my sources, and we can keep contact through this via. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much again. I think for many of us, the word humanization is a very challenging word to understand and to internalize. What does it mean to be human? Is humanization mean becoming more human? And what does that mean really? And that really comes out of how you see life, and a lot of it comes from your belief about existence and spirituality versus not. So you specified humanization becoming extinct versus humanity becoming extinct. And I wonder if that's really two, I wonder if that's two different things. I mean, is it really two different things? I mean, let's look at the movies, for example, from the future. And in many of the darker movies of the future, we certainly have humans. So maybe, but it seems like their life is so miserable. So I would have to say, if I'm assuming that humanization means becoming more spiritually conscious, then I would say definitely it's looking like it's becoming extinct, because the machines are thinking for us, and I don't know how much time people are spending on reflection. I don't know if our education system is giving room for that. And I don't know if, as we look at even the education futures, and this is very important, because if education futures do not take into account that the human of the 21st century, in a world where the university, the school systems, etc., were used to sort of help us become like, we learn in schools, at least in the West, we learn through schools and education how to be in a civilized society then, right? I'm not sure that the education systems of the West have caught up, and I'm not sure if in the traditional societies, we have not let go of too much of what made us, let's say, human in those spaces, to grasp at this other thing, that the promise of development. So I'm not sure if I'm asking a question and making a comment at the same time. Is my question, convoluted comment, reflective of what you're trying to say? Or am I out in left field?
No, right. Well, first of all, yeah, I'm talking about humanization. Like, what if we disappear before disappearing? Before talking about disappearing because of the machines or something like that, I'm talking, yeah, about our human futures, no? What if being human disappears from the humans, right? Well, then on your second idea, directly from Teach the Future, we'll also agree that in schools, they educate you for the future, but without talking about the future. So this is not really addressed at schools. And also, we need to teach skills, not just methods or tools or whatever. So in that sense, we need to prepare humans for humanity itself and for futures. So I will make a synthesis with these two ideas about your questions, your comments.
Yes, somebody said, Seth Harrell said, ethics as an immune system. He loved that statement. I think ethics really is going to be much more vitally important to the immunity of civilization and against self-destruction. I mean, ethics is an immune system in terms of how we manage ourselves as a species, and that tension between, as you say, the shadow self and the light self, quote unquote, and how society incorporates those behaviors and rewards or punishes those behaviors. And each society has been different. In the ancient past, people were shunned if they went outside of the norms of that society. Now we might stick them in jails, and the penal reform system around the world is still struggling about what does reform really look like if people shut themselves, do not conform with what is accepted behavior. But what happens when we have a system, an education system that, I'm coming to education because that's probably the only thing within our control, right? The state and people and citizens determine education system, which is meant to produce citizens to be, quote unquote, functioning, capable citizens in a society. So my question for everybody on this call, and you may have some ideas, is like, if we're talking about human futures, and the magazine Human Futures really has to begin exploring it, I really would like to see us having some real essays, not academic essays, but just thought pieces that really help us explore, because there's a lot of fear around AI right now and how we're evolving. And I do think it's up to many of us futurists to begin to put some ideas on the table for people to chew on in language that can be easily acceptable. So if you have any ideas about ethics as an immune system and how we might teach ethics within the context of an AI-enabled future, so we don't go into extinction, you know, how are you seeing that?
Right. If we are considering survival, for example, in this case, survival of humanization or of human futures, we need to reinforce resilience. We need to reinforce the immune systems, physical, psychologically, globally, collectively, futurely, whatever, right? So in this sense, we need that because we are always fighting with that. So what's okay for me, what's okay for you? Think about the collage that, the board that I shared with you, no? For some people, it's awful. For other people, maybe it's the best decision they couldn't have taken, right? So in this sense, if we are towards a better futures for everybody, we need to reinforce that backbone. So yeah, this is a sense of promoting ethics in that sense, not only you know, the human machine stuff, but in this sense of survival and having resilience and reinforcing that. So
well, thank you so much. Lots of food for thought. We're going to move to our next session. Thank you so much, Alethia Montero, a member of the executive board of the FSF. Yes.
Just quickly, Eva Hide wrote a question like long ago, so I will answer so fast. Where is the place of rationality in these four rooms concerning the future? Well, in the mental room, we have in the brain, the neocortex, which is dedicated to future planning and foresight. But we need to integrate all the dimensions towards really building futures. That's it. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.